Steve Gamache here with another Chef Knives to Go quick look product review, and what we're looking at today is the Yoshimune Kurouchi White No. 2 Petty, the 135mm size. So the core steel in this, the construction is a 3-layer sandwich, which is composed of a hard core steel, which is known as Shitogami or White Paper No. 2, reactive high carbon steel from Hitachi. Heat treats around 60 run Rockwell on that. And the construction is, on either side of that harder core steel, there's a softer iron cladding, which is reactive. That cladding does have a kurouchi or blacksmith finish to help protect it against corrosion, or I should say patina. The weight on the knife is pretty light. It's 2.6 ounce or 73 grams, and the edge length is going to vary a little bit, as does the weight and the dimensions of each of these, since they're hand-hammered and handmade. But this particular one's about 137mm on the edge, or 5.4 inches. That's from the tip to the chin, the back of the heel. And the overall length's about 10.3 inches. The spine thickness, again, is going to vary. This one coming out of the handle is about 2.7mm above the back of the blade, the chin, and then it kind of holds most of that and doesn't thin down a whole lot, maybe a little bit until you hit the grind. So not a lot of distal taper, but it gets pretty skinny right at the very tip because there's a pretty generous grind on this, especially you can see on the left side of this particular blade. The blade height is about 34.4mm. And then the handle's nothing fancy. It's what they call burnt chestnut, but it's basically a dyed wood as far as I can tell. It's D-shaped. I've got oval, excuse me. It is D-shaped, so that's incorrect. And you've got a plastic or resin ferrule. There's a little bit of bump here between the wood and the ferrule that's pretty common with these types of handles, so just par for the course for this, just nothing fancy. The handle's pretty light, so even though you've got a smaller blade, the balance point is still just a little bit in front of that choil, the back of the blade. So pretty neutral feel. And you can see these have kind of a particular style. This blacksmith, this shop does a particular style where they've got an aggressive kind of a spear tip on there. And so they don't have a ton of belly towards the tip, but they do have an aggressive tip, which is really good for detail work. So let's take a look at the knife close up. There we go. And here's what it looks like. It's got a really interesting textured finish on it, which they kind of carry over from some of their other lines. And again, this one's got a kurouchi or blacksmith finish on it. There's some chiseled kanji. It's pretty small, but there's some chiseled kanji on there. Nice texture to the cladding. And you can see, again, the kurouchi is kind of a matte type finish to it. And then you've got your core steel kind of peeking through behind the cladding at the edge here. So these are fairly thin at the actual edge. We can get a shot of that. And the left side of the blade on this one's got a little bit higher grind than the right side of the blade. Should still be plenty ambidextrous. I don't personally mind the D handles. Some people do, but lefty or righty, you could probably use this. The cladding does not cover the spine, so that's a true Sanmai construction. It's not waterikomi where it comes over the spine, so you can see the layers there, which is pretty cool. That does mean that's, you know, the spine is, this whole knife's going to be reactive, so spine, cladding, core, but this thing will sharpen up really, really nicely. Fit and finish, they've relieved the spine a little bit, the choil a little bit, so it's pretty comfortable out of the box. I'd say this is maybe a 5 out of 10 on the out-of-the-box sharpness scale, kind of an average. Fairly sharp, had a little bit of a burr on it. I went ahead and sharpened this just to kind of get a feel for it, and it'll get mighty, mighty sharp very quickly. Let's put it on our cutting board. So these are really cool knives. I think the performance on this one should be quite good. I did not use this one, but I've used some other products from them, and they do a nice job on their geometry. You can see the aggressive profile. It's really smooth on the board, and I can get fairly high before I start hitting the tip end of the cutting board. And you've got a fair amount of clearance here as well. So this you could even swap out handles on this and get a slightly smaller handle if you wanted to give you even more clearance, or work off the side of the board if you needed to. But you've got a fair amount of clearance, as you can kind of tell. I can't really hold it well at my angle that I'm at, but yeah, this is a neat knife. So this maker does make some cool stuff. So here you have the Yoshimune Kurouchi Shirogami number 2 Petty, the 135mm version.